Okay, we're recording.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Vermilion City Council meeting for Monday, July 13th, 2020. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of reflection or silent prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Warren, please call the roll.
Halifax,
Yes.
Brady,
Present.
Luca, are you muted? Frank, can you hear us? You're muted still.
I think we lost him.
Just has to unmute.
Oh, he does.
I got video. I don't know.
Okay, you're there now.
Okay.
Okay, Skahan,
Here.
Holmes,
Here.
Stark,
Here.
Aaron.
Here. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 15th, 2020 council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Gwen?
Brady,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Skahan,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Halifax, did you say that?
Yes.
Heron,
Yes.
motion carried.
Do we have any correspondence tonight?
I have no correspondence.
Okay, next item is President and Council's report. Just a quick statement from me regarding the decision that I made Thursday. Just to take you back, I saw that we went to red or code red on Thursday involving the surge in positive tests. And talking to a number of people, I will just admit to everybody that may have been sort of a knee-jerk response by me that wasn't necessary. So at this point, I am prepared to go back to committee next week at the building in person. That's just my plan. I thought that maybe that code red prohibitions against meetings and things like that, or might be. I am still very concerned about the large numbers in Lorraine County. There's a huge spike today, but it's my understanding that was in areas that really members of people who were incarcerated that don't necessarily affect us. So, we're going to go back to in-person meeting, some kind of order or strong suggestion from the Department of Health that we should not do that. Again, if any members feel that they cannot come, they don't feel well, we have, obviously you can call in, we'll make accommodations. So that's kind of the plan now. So that being said, at this point, I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn into executive session to discuss public contracts. I do believe another council member would like to go into executive session for another reason. Is that true?
Yes. For pending litigation or yes, not pending.
Litigation, very well.
Imminent.
Imminent. That's the word.
Imminent.
And Steve, do you want for labor negotiations?
Labor negotiations, I'm sorry,
Okay.
that name.
Okay.
So I'll just make a motion for both. And then we'll, assuming the rest of council would like to do that, then we'll go in and discuss only those two matters. And we will be discussing only matters that we go into executive session for.
Second.
Halifax,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Skahan,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Heron.
Yes,
Motion carried. I need to stop the recording, so hold on.
thank you.
Okay, we're recording. Regular meeting.
Thank you very much. Vermilion City Council meeting for Monday, July 13th, 2020 is now back in session. The next item on the agenda is, by the way, I don't have any further report today. The next items on the agenda, we haven't had a committee meeting in quite some time, but I will just go through the list. We'll start off with Councilwoman Stark for committee reports.
Okay, and our committee meetings, our next committee will meet probably in person would be my guess, right? And that is the I'm
20th.
Don't
Next
have a
week.
calendar in front of me. I'm sorry, the 20th of this month. So we will plan on seeing everybody there. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman Stark. Councilman Luca.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next utilities meeting, if there's anything on the agenda, will be July 20th at the Vermilion Municipal Complex. Next Port Authority meeting will be July 23rd at the Municipal Complex at 6:30. That concludes my report.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilwoman Brady.
Yes, planning will meet August 5th and finance will meet next Monday, July 20th.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to Councilman Holmes.
Health and Safety will meet next Monday on the 20th, and Parks and Rec will meet the following Tuesday, the 21st. And that concludes my report.
Okay. And we do not have a date for stormwater. Is that correct, Gwen?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to Councilwoman Skayan.
Okay. Historic Design and Review Board, their next meeting is August 5th at 7 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And we'll go to Councilman Holvex. Last but not least.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hey, Streets, Buildings, and Ground will meet next Monday, July 20th at 7 o'clock. Contractors Board will meet on Tuesday, July 28th at 6 o'clock. And Zoning Board of Appeals will also meet on Tuesday, July 28th at 7 o'clock. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments regarding any of the scheduling or anything like that? Anything coming up regarding committees? Okay, thank you. We'll go to the Mayor's Safety Director's report. Mayor Porthover.
Thank you, Council President. First of all, as a safety director and mayor, I simply encourage everyone in Vermilion to wear a mask. And this is regardless of what county you live in or what color ranking or stage ranking this county has. Every commissioner, epidemiologist, and healthcare professional that I talk to say that if everyone wore a mask, this whole thing would slow down much faster. I also realize that it's impractical for a small city to mandate mask wearing, which I've been encouraged to do a lot every day. By the fact that we can't really enforce it, there's really no point to mandating other than my encouragement to do so. Mandating of masks is best done by a county or by the governor himself, who can actually enforce it through the health department. Regarding masks in the VPD, I've had a lot of questions about that. Officers are required to wear a mask when they're outside of their vehicles unless there are some extenuating circumstances. The VPD is not enforcing mask wearing in Lorain County whenever Lorain County is red. I mean, if it goes to stage 3 and masks are mandated, the Vermilion Police is not going to enforce it in the Lorain County portion of Vermilion, nor is actually, I don't believe the Sheriff's Office said they would enforce it either. VPD will assist business owners who have someone refusing to leave their business because they're not wearing a mask. If they ask them to leave and they won't, say I have a right to be here, VPD will assist in those situations. I'm grateful to be able to announce that as of today, there are no positive COVID-19 cases in any of our fire or police first responders. Also checked with Life Care Ambulance, and they do have a couple cases, but they're totally isolated and it doesn't affect at all their capabilities. Both our fire departments and police department, as well as Life Care, all have Plan Bs in case for some reason the virus runs rampant in their departments and they can't perform. We do have backup plans, as I think most every community does in this area. Now, as far as the mayor's report, the Vermilion cases of COVID are still low, but in the past couple of weeks, they have doubled in Vermilion. It's still low, it's in the low double digits, but it's definitely going up. Erie County in general, compared to the state, is low, but its new cases have gone up in multiples every day. And we in Erie County live right next to two of the most heavily afflicted counties in Ohio, which is Huron and Lorain. Their rates and stages keep going up and down, but they're always in the top cases in the counties in the state who have very high COVID, and it is almost bound to rub off on us. So because of the resurgence of the virus, I am restricting our public events even further. The beach market, which was scheduled for next month in Sherwood Park, was told to cancel by the Erie County Health Department. And I want to say that the organizer, Ann Noggle, was exceedingly diligent about coordinating the features of this event with the county health department. But the health department said if she was going to have about 500 people, that was just too many, so it's canceled. Now, every other event that's proposed to be scheduled or is currently scheduled in Vermilion for the remainder of the season has at least 500 people as a probable attendance. So therefore, the administration will not support any outdoor event on city property over 10 people until further notice. Several groups have voluntarily canceled their events, and I'm seeing that more and more. People just saying, listen, I don't think we should go ahead with this. I don't have to say a thing. The Chamber of Commerce is preparing a notification for their Woolly Bear partners and their vendors, but they would like to handle that announcement. I think that's a fair request. So unless there are questions later, that's it for COVID, thank goodness, for this report. I just want to say that the Fire Station 1 topping off on June 29th went very well. That marks about the halfway point in our construction cycle. Topping off is the final framing of the 16,000 square foot building. We project completion at this point by December, assuming that the weather all cooperates. As far as union contracts go, we, as you all know, we have reached an agreement with the Labor's International Union 860, just for public information, pay and health coverage and mirrors agreements with the city's other two unions. That was reached in December of 2019, and I am asked council to approve ordinance 2020-26 tonight. Last item is the Mapleview ditch. The ever famous Mapleview ditch is mostly complete due to good construction weather. There are parties who are interested in purchasing from the county that land which the county purchased in order to gain access to the ditch. The county will keep a narrow strip along the ditch for future maintenance, but it's willing to sell the rest off. And I have quoted tap fees for sewer and water to the county so that they know, as they're entertaining developers, what our costs from the city would be. But that means we have a few more customers to disperse our costs for sewer and for water. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions or comments for the mayor?
I have a question.
That's my dog. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a question. Okay.
Frank.
Mayor, from what you said, then I'm assuming that the dancing at the docks on July 18th is also canceled because they have about 50 people there.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I spoke to the Port Authority and they just agreed that, you know what, let's not just fight this thing.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The duck dash, by the way, Frank, for the, they're going pretty much just ticket sales on that.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Any other members? I don't see hands. Is any?
I had a question, Steve.
Yes, go ahead.
Mayor, I've had 2 phone calls in the last 3 days about solicitors getting permits to go door to door. And these solicitors are knocking on doors and not wearing masks. And these citizens are very concerned that we have issued permits for somebody to knock on their door and in the midst of the COVID crisis.
I don't know anything about that, but I'll look into it.
Okay, whose office issues the permits?
It's those permits usually come out of the police department.
From the police department? Okay, yeah, I would appreciate if you would look into that, because like I said, I've gotten 2 calls this week of people who are very concerned about people going door to door and soliciting with all this COVID crisis going on.
I'll check it out.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments for the mayor tonight? All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll go to Service Director's report, Mr. Valerius.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to mention that the street department continues to Durapatch as weather permits. Recently, they have been giving attention to concrete streets in Valley View and Edison Estates areas. Once complete, they will concentrate their efforts on the streets in the Vermilion on the Lake area. Also recently, the street department made a major stormwater improvement to the culvert and stream that runs perpendicular to South Street behind Riddle Funeral Home. The area was completely cleared of brush and small trees. The culvert was cleaned of debris, and the stream was dug out to match the invert of the pipe. The valley just west of the funeral home often floods during heavy rains, and these improvements, along with regular maintenance, should prevent that from happening again. Hart Asphalt has been in town repairing all the asphalt street cuts that were caused by main break repairs. There were 18 repairs that were needed. I ask citizens to please use caution when approaching work crews in these areas. Quick update on Vermilion Road. Currently, Precision Paving is finishing up the ditch work. Sometime next week, and the following week we'll see guardrail installation, berm, and pavement markings, which indicates that the project will be completed on schedule. Lastly, I wanted to give council an update on the water meter replacement program. To date, 2,100 new meters have been installed in exterior meter pits. NECO has decided to hold off on replacing interior meters for now due to COVID-19, but continue to remain on schedule. All of the oversized meters have been surveyed and inspected to be sure that the proper size meter has been ordered, and replacement on those meters will begin next week. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Any questions or comments? Thank you.
I have a question again.
Yep, go ahead. You're not on my screen, Monica, so I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Sorry. I just had a question, Tony. I've got a couple phone calls recently also about the timing of our lights again, of complaints. I know one woman I spoke to said she called City Hall. I don't know if she spoke to you or someone at the mayor's office. Very upset. And I was approached uptown the other day as well about the timing of the lights, all of the streets that intersect with Liberty. Is there a chance we could lessen the time that those residents have to wait to pull onto Liberty? What's the scoop on that?
We could look into it. However, if you change one light, you're changing all of them because they're all in a sequence. They're timed in a sequence, so that obviously the main goal of this project was to keep Liberty moving instead of hitting light after light after light on Liberty. That was the goal of the project, and I think that goal has been accomplished. Now, does that mean that some of the side streets have to wait a little bit longer? Yes, at times it does. It could be looked at, but everything would have to be reprogrammed.
Okay, it just seems like it is a lot longer. It doesn't seem like it's just a little bit longer. It's like some of those lights they are really long, and I get it. If residents live down those streets, the woman I spoke to lived out at Indian Ridge, and she's like, oh my gosh, we drive down to stop at that light, and sometimes feels like it's forever, and I know I've been stopped, and we feel the same way. It's like, oh my goodness. And somebody I spoke to uptown the other day was asking the same thing. So I just, I've heard about it now numerous times since we've done the lights. I don't know if anybody else is hearing people ask them about that. I just wanted to bring it up again because I know I brought it up probably last year. I don't know. I think it was maybe in the fall, but I just when I'm approached a couple times recently about it, I thought I'd bring it up. I don't know if anyone else is interested to try to get something done.
Occasionally we get calls in the mayor's office regarding that. Not very often anymore, but once in a great while. But I do want to remind everyone too that all the timings and the wait times were approved by ODOT when the project went through. So we're not going above anything that they wouldn't approve.
Okay.
Are we at the top of their weight limit? Are we at the max weight limit that they approve?
I'm not sure.
Yes, Councilwoman Brady?
Well, the thing that's scary is I think people take chances. I know when I was doing Third Thursday, people would wait at the corner for the light to change and they'd get tired. So they go across a green light. The same thing coming out on Overlook. They'll take a chance. Either they'll go to the right and turn around in the Nest parking lot or do things that are dangerous, actually, just to avoid waiting at that light. It's up to 2 minutes sometimes we've waited. The other thing is, I don't understand how, when you say the timing down Liberty is, those lights are stimulated by someone at the corner, at the individual corners. So how does the whole of Liberty, is the whole of Liberty affected by that? It changes at Overlook when somebody's at the corner, not when, it's not affected by what's to the west.
Right, but if you change the timing of the, yes, you're right. If somebody trips the light, then that time will change. But if you go in there and start changing the timings of the lights, then that will affect the lights throughout the whole system.
But
It's one thing. There's a set time for when a car approaches and then it's identified. Then there's a set time that car will sit there before it changes, depending on the flow of Liberty. Believe it or not, the light takes into account that as well.
I
But
think
if
that's
you
the
actually go in
timing
and
that's the timing we're talking about, is the time that people are waiting at the corner, not necessarily the ongoing changing of the light.
right, but it's also dependent on how soon that had been tripped previous to that, and it depends how many vehicles are on Liberty going through. It takes into account all of that.
Okay.
Steve?
Yeah, Frank, go ahead.
What we've noticed is that we use Vermilion Road and Liberty quite a bit. We've noticed, as what Tony said, during rush hour, you wait a significantly longer time than in non-rush hour periods because there's much less traffic on Liberty. And you wait, it's a very short wait. Even when our traffic has just gone, if traffic on Liberty is light, the wait at Vermilion Road is also very light. So I can see where it works that way. But if you're going to get there at 5 o'clock or whatever, traffic's heavy on Liberty, you are going to wait significantly longer, but whatever.
Okay. Anybody else at this point?
I do.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with lights. I don't know if this is a question for Tony or Chris. I was questioned about the time framing or a timeline as far as the water meter on replacement on Sanford in coordination with Safe Routes to School. Are those still both on time, on track? I can't remember with Safe Routes as far as the sidewalks going in. What was the deadline on that? And again, I don't know if this is Tony or Chris. And if it's Chris, we can wait till Chris pops back on.
I'll address it under mine.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, anything else for Mr. Valerius? All right. We'll go to the Finance Director's report. Ms. Hendricks.
Good evening. On my report this evening, we do have an agenda item to approve revisions to the appropriations for 2020, as well as the estimated certificate of resources. The overall changes in funds, primary ones that are presented are Fund 205, which is recreation, and that's based on the decreased revenue and expenses that we are having for the summer seasons due to shortened seasons and the pandemic impact. The second one is a new fund that was approved for the tracking both revenue and expenditures of our portion of the Federal CARES Act monies, $137,928 And that money has now been received. We are processing the journal entries to allow for recoding of expenses that we have already had to date, and are then considering other programming and expenditures going forward. Also, there's an increase in the budget for Fund 411. I'm sorry, there's a typo on that, which is the VPA Capital Fund, to reflect in the budget additional grant funding that has been received since January. And given the timing of our meetings for the summer, if it would be possible, especially with the CARES Act funding in play here, to ask that the rules might be considered to be suspended and pass that provision tonight to get those in place. Also, following up on the COVID-19 impact that has happened on the utility accounts in the city, nationally really. But the Ohio EPA had previously in March issued a mandate that shutoffs of any utilities for non-payment in the state of Ohio be discontinued. At that time, Vermilion had discontinued any shutoffs, as well as we had lifted the provisions that would allow penalties or interest to accrue on outstanding balances as people were working through those economic conditions that were related to COVID. The EPA has lifted, as of last Friday, July 10th, the limitation on shutoffs. They are now allowing shutoffs to take place again. But we do not anticipate in our plan of action that we will resume penalties or shutoffs in most cases until September 1st of 2020, to give people just a little more time to get on their feet following the pandemic and get back to work and get caught up a little bit on their economics. But at the present time, the city of Vermilion has roughly 90 active utility accounts, residential ones, that are delinquent, and this total is right around $25,000. The average delinquency period is 5 months. So that's a combination of not only delinquencies that have taken place directly related to the pandemic, but also some problematic accounts that existed before the pandemic. And presently, we do not issue shutoffs until an account has gone at least 3 months without payment. This is City of Vermilion's practice on those. So customers who are having difficulty paying their bills, we encourage them to contact the utility department to make arrangements for an affordable payment plan. Right now, we're going to be evaluating most cases and considering the delinquencies that have accrued, giving interest-free payment plans through the January 2021 due date. So that's giving several months for people to begin to bring their accounts current without risk of shutoff and penalties, as long as they're maintaining those payment plans that they have established with us. So we encourage those folks to contact the utility department. The sooner we get them set up and making payments, the more readily they'll have those balances under control. It's unfortunate. I realize some people have very limited resources during this time, but when no payments are made at all, it really doesn't take long for those balances to add up. So we encourage people to pay what they can at a minimum, so that those balances don't become so large that they're completely daunting and unmanageable. Also, a reminder that July 15th is the due date for filing the 2019 local income tax returns with RETA, as well as estimated payments for the first and second quarters of 2020. Again, Rita has issued notices that, well, this is about the time of year we would start to see some of the payments and reconciliations for the annual income tax filings. It's probably going to be October to November before we really see the reconciliation of those payments and the ultimate collection of those monies in our bank accounts for the city. And again, I want to encourage people to be very mindful of if they receive notices from Rita, because disregarding those notices makes it harder for us to help folks as well. I received an email today from someone who had received a letter from Rita in 2017 stating that they were 4 years behind on their local income taxes. They did not follow through on that notice and now have been pulled into court for collections through Rita on now an additional 3 years of taxes that are due. And while I can help people with penalties and interest in some cases, we don't have the authority to actually waive their tax liability. They do need to be able to manage that. So people need to do their due diligence and don't just assume I live in a township or I live at this address, so I don't owe taxes. I rent my property, so I don't owe income taxes. Please be mindful and do your due diligence with your tax preparer or contacting Rita to determine your true status. Something that we're also trying coming August 1st is a sweepstakes that is sponsored by Invoice Cloud, our online payment software company. They're starting a new campaign that will run from August 1st to October 31st of 2020 that people can be registered to win one of 3 prizes, a $300 Amazon gift certificate or one of 2 $100 Amazon gift certificates. And these are provided by Invoice Cloud. These are not paid for by tax dollars in the city of Vermilion. If you register to pay online, go with a paperless billing, anything that's activating your online account for payments gives you a chance to win. And also, if you've already registered and are already using all those technological features, you are automatically entered to win at this point. So more information will be coming out about that, but just a bit of encouragement for people to use those features to make their payments. And one item that came up this afternoon after I had sent out my report is that I was contacted by our representatives at Sudzina and Associates about some refinancings that we do have that are eligible in 2020. So we'll be looking at some action and resolutions coming up soon to refinance debt from 2010 through 2012 issues, about $4 million, but it does have the opportunity to bring in almost $470,000 in savings to the city in debt payment by lowering those interest rates. So that's a bit of good news to watch for going forward as well. And if there are no questions, that would conclude my report.
I do have one.
Yes,
Sure.
go ahead.
As far as the utilities, is there something that could be put on, like the utility bills going out, you know, saying if people want to like add extra money to help pay for the people affected by COVID? Or
I mean, as far as that people could make contributions?
yeah, for like the outstanding accounts for people who can't pay, or
There are some larger communities that are doing things like that. And many of them have separate foundations that are handling that. I am very cautious to add something like that at this point because we really don't have staff to administer and maintain that type of transactions. If someone came in and said to us, we have $100 and you pick an account that's deserving and put it on there, we would certainly not turn that money down. But as far as something that people are paying in along through their regular utility bills, we really don't have the manpower to manage that. But if people would make a separate donation, we would make an effort to accommodate that. Also, people can contact the Salvation Army and some of those agencies and make donations to them and designate that as they have families in need that approach them for help with utility bills as well. So that's a couple options that we can do.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Councilwoman Brady?
I think on your email to us, you said there were some changes in appropriations because of personnel changes.
Oh, okay, sure. We have had some changes in, we've had because of retirements and also and replacement with people at lower wage levels or maybe not replaced at all. So we've had some savings that way, but we've also had some changes because of people making changes to their insurance plans, going from single to family, which increase our costs. So we're making those adjustments as what we see our census is right now. That's correct, Barb.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, we're going to go ahead and kind of switch around real quick. We're going to go to the law director's report at this point. Mr. Stumphauser, do you have a report?
No, I don't, Mr. Council President. No report this evening.
I'm going to go ahead and do the, I'm sorry, I'm not doing well right now. The ordinance, I'll read the ordinance if you want to cut out, Mr. Stumphauser.
Hey, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Thank you.
Good night, Kim.
Take care. Have a good week.
Okay, we will now go to the city engineer's report. Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to give Council an update on projects currently under construction. The Haber Road Bridge Replacement Project, the box culvert is installed. The contractor still needs to pave the road, install guardrail, and perform restoration. The work is scheduled to be completed and open to traffic by the end of the month. The Sanford Street Water Main Replacement Project is ahead of schedule. The contractor has to install sidewalks that were removed, some drives, the asphalt road repairs, and restoration work. This work should be completed before the end of the month. The High Bridge Road reconstruction bid opening was last Thursday, the 9th. The city received 2 bids. The low bidder for the project is Crossroads Asphalt Recycling, Inc. of Columbia Station. Their bid was $609,310.75, which includes a construction contingency of $60,000. The engineer's estimate for the project was $715,225.30, which included a construction contingency of $60,000. This project has OPWC funding from round 33, which totals $487,500. Please note that the original agreement with OPWC had a construction completion date of August 30th of 2020. We requested an amendment to the project schedule due to COVID-19 and were granted a new project completion date of October 31st, 2020. And then to bounce back to Councilman Holmes' questions about safe routes to school, there are still a handful of acquisitions that are required for temporary easements. So we're still dealing with that. The goal is to still have that under construction this year, but it'll probably be later this fall. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Councilman Luca.
Chris, what is your experience with Crossroad Paving? How comfortable do you feel with them as a contractor on this job?
We have worked with them in other municipalities, but it's been about 3 years. In the city of Amherst and South Amherst, they had a couple projects. Obviously, we will have an inspector full-time during construction. I know the city had some issues in the past that we weren't involved with, but I do know the city did have some issues with them.
Right. So then you'll be really bird dogging this job, I would imagine then.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? And I can't see everybody, so
Steve Halivax.
Steve Holloway.
I'd just like to throw my 2 cents in with Crossroads. Been on council for many years. I think some of the problems we had was not having a good inspector on the job. Some of the things happened on Edgewater were things that should have been stopped when they happened, and they got to a point they became a problem. Same things that we can talk about the lagoons many years ago. I have a lot of faith in Graham Hall, their inspectors, that they know what they're doing. They're not going to let something slide. As for the Crossroads getting the low bid, I don't have a problem with Crossroads as long as we have someone like Graham Hall, their inspectors on the job, because I know it's not going to become a problem because they're going to stop it before it becomes a problem. So if you want my opinion, I don't see a problem with the bid. I think it's a big savings for the city. And as long as we have an inspector that's going to watch it, we don't have a problem as a city. There are eyes on the job, and we should continue to let them do what they do good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Barb, I'm sorry.
Yep,
I
go ahead.
totally agree with Steve. I mean, it was a nightmare on Edgewater. And a lot of that was the inspection process that was let go. The other problem was the warranty work. When the problems were discovered at the end of the project, they weren't very forthwith on taking care of them. So I don't know if that's taken care of in the bid or in the agreement with them or whatever, but that was a big problem on the Edgewater project, for sure, major. I mean, this road is completely falling apart. So I think I have trouble. I have a real problem
I'm sorry, you cut out. Could you repeat that?
voting for Crossroads.
Okay.
I said I have a real problem supporting Crossroads on this bill.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? All right, and I just want to be sure we are looking at 2023. Does that need to be done tonight? And I'm asking all the members of the administration, well, Ms. Hendricks, Mr. Howard. 2023 is the Keith Faber Auditor, Independent Public Accounting Service. Does that need to be done tonight?
We can do that first reading, but it doesn't have to be done to suspend the rules. We were able to extend the agreement for 3 years to keep an IPA for the district or for the city, and that's definitely in our best interest.
And okay, thank you. And then Mr. Howard, 2024, you want that tonight, right?
That's fine. Yes, please. If the
right.
contract's authorized for Crossroads, then yes.
Do you have that amount, Steve?
I do not. Can you give that again?
Chris, is it 609,310.75?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay. And that would in 2020 and 20-25 you want tonight, right?
Please.
Thank you. I had a little bit of a dog drama here, so I apologize.
26 tonight.
26, I have that tonight. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Very well. Appreciate that. And I'm sorry. Any other questions for Mr. Howard? Okay. Mr. Stumphauser, we've excused. He did not have a report, as you heard. We do not have response to the audience, nor open to the audience, nor old business. Do we have any new business we haven't dealt with? Okay. Thank you. All right. So we'll go to the reading of the ordinances. Pardon me. First reading, ordinance 2020-22. An ordinance amending ordinance 2020-5 adopted March 2nd, 2020 to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the city of Vermilion, Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020 and declaring an emergency. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules with respect to ordinance 2020-22? and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Gwen?
Gahan,
Jesus.
Holmes,
Yes. Didn't know if I
Dark?
needed bark or not.
I'm sorry, did you want me to say yes or bark?
I thought you did, but you. Stark,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Halifax,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes, with my apologies. But it's worth, I believe the dog is voting yes too. All right. We have a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-22 and declare an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Since this is, okay, Gwen?
Holmes,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Gahan,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Halifax,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next item is first reading ordinance 2020-23, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio to enter into an agreement between Auditor of State Keith Faber, Auditor, City of Vermilion, and Charles E. Harris and Associates Incorporated for independent public accountant services for the period of January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency. That will go to a second reading. Next item is first reading ordinance 2020-24. An ordinance to officially supplement the minimum contractual services to be performed by Bram Hall Engineering and Surveying Company by virtue of ordinance 2018-5, adopted January 2nd, 2018 by authorizing construction, observation, and contract administration services related to the High Bridge Road reconstruction project, prescribing that the firm shall be paid for additional services in accordance with the rate schedule set forth in a proposal dated January 3rd, 2018, in a total amount not to exceed $609,310.75 and declaring an emergency. We have a motion to suspend the rules with respect to ordinance 2020 and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Gwen?
Holmes,
Yes.
Halifax,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Gahan,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-24 and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? I know the members were okay.
Stark,
We're approving Bramhall's, the engineering part, not the whole project, right?
no, this is a project, 24.
Because it's Bramhall.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You're right.
It should only be 45,000.
45,000. Yeah, I got the two mixed up. So it's the 45,000. What was that price, Chris?
45,920.
Correct.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. One more
I
time.
just, it was,
That's okay. 45,920.
920. Yeah.
Any sense? Everybody's low on coins, so. All right. So let me ask you this. Should I reread the ordinance 2020-24?
No, we'll just make that. I'll make sure that makes that correction.
Okay, thank you. So the public.
45,920. Yes.
Thank you. Because I thought that was the whole. Okay, we're.
Husbands and wives.
Having a good night.
Okay.
Let me call the roll, Steve.
Yeah, if you would, we're on 2024. Thank you.
Holmes. Brian.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Gahan.
Yes.
Luca.
Yes.
Brady.
yeah.
Halifax.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to read really quickly here. Okay. Next item is first reading ordinance 2020-25. Now, is this the 609K?
610.
Yes.
610? 610?
Yes.
609, 310.75.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, 932. Losing it now.
So first reading ordinance 2020-25, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio to enter into a contract for the High Bridge Road reconstruction project, authorizing the finance director to make payment and declaring an emergency. We have a motion to suspend the rules with respect to ordinance 2020-25 and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Gwen?
Luca,
Yes.
Brady,
No.
Hollivax,
Yes.
Skahan,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Stark,
No.
Heron,
Yes.
motion carried.
Do we have a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-25 and declaring an emergency?
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Discussion?
I just have a question. Is it normal that Crossroads' name isn't put in there? Usually we see the contractor's name put in.
Well, we just found out, like we got it finalized today.
Okay, so you're gonna amend that to have their name put into it?
Yeah, I just did the caption at last week when basically they were just going out opening bids that day. So we didn't have the name when we did it,
Okay.
but they were the lowest bid.
Okay, and again, my screen's limited. Did everybody get to talk who wanted to talk?
Yes.
Okay, Gwen, go ahead.
Hollivax,
Yes.
Brady,
No.
Luca,
Yes.
Skahan,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Stark,
No.
Heron,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay. For the next item, first reading, ordinance 2020-26 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Laborers International Union of North America, Local 860, and declaring an emergency. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules with respect to ordinance 2020-26 and declaring an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Gwen?
Skahan,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Hollivax,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Heron,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay. Oh, do we have a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-26 and declaring an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Again, I want to reiterate my compliments to the administration and our employees for coming to a resolution. So I don't have anything further. Does anybody else have any comments, questions?
No.
Gwen?
Brady,
Yes.
Hollivax,
Yes.
Luca,
Yes.
Skahan,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Heron,
Yes.
motion carried.
Next item, first reading resolution 2020 R-9 is a resolution expressing the city's support, allowing the placement of thin blue line banners upon public property in honor of and to show respect for Vermilion Police Officer Francis Smolka. That will go to a second reading. Meeting dates at this point are scheduled to be July 20th at 7:00 p.m. All city council committees will meet. We will be at this point in person at City Building. Request that everybody wear masks. We will practice social distancing. I will monitor the Erie County level, whether or not to mandate masks. I believe in everybody should be wearing masks, but there's obviously that issue. But if Erie goes to red for that day, mask will be mandatory for entrance into our meeting. Other than that, after that, our next regular city council meeting is August 3rd. All committees will meet August 10th. Regular city council meeting August 17th. With that, I wish everybody a good evening. Thank you very much.
Have a good week.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
See you.
Good night,
All right.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.